So yes, Pauline Kiraithe, who's the founder, TalentGurus of 254. She's also an executive leadership and career coach. And I know we plan to have a session with you for the longest time, Pauline. So I'm very, very excited to have you here with us during this session.
So my name is Pauline Kiraithe.
Perfect.
Yes, I'm the founder and CEO of TalentGurus at 254. I'm a certified executive and career coach. I'm a HR thought leader as well as a HR consultant and trainer. So yes, it's an honor to take you through this session. And yes, it's been a long time coming. I know Wendy has been trying to pursue me for a while, but today I'm available, which is good. So for me, when I saw the topic of how to be intentional with your career progression, I felt the only way for me to share about career progression is to share my own journey. I'm a true believer that your own personal story or your own personal journey is the only tool that you have to be able to inspire others. Yeah, it's important to tell people to do certain things that you've already done. So I'll share a few learnings from my own journey and also just practical things that I've done along my journey, my career journey, that you can pick up and plan to implement in yours. So I'll just quickly take you through. So you can see the picture there. So number one is one thing you can know about me is I'm a journaler. So I can tell you my whole journey and my whole life has been documented. I've been journaling for the last 27 years. And so all these things, and actually right now I'm running a series on LinkedIn, just sharing all the key learnings in terms of my life journey. Because they say when you have the ability to look back from where you have come from and pick up the learnings, they say hindsight is 2020. So you learn from the failures and you pick up the learnings, and it only enriches your journey going forward. So I just felt it was important to just be clear about what we're talking about. So when you talk about intentional, it means things that have been done on purpose and things that have been deliberate. And when we talk about progression, is where we are seeing a moving forward, a gradual moving forward or moving to an advanced state. So even with your career and your life, there has to be some progression, irrespective of how small the changes are, but you always have to be moving. So one mantra I live by is that there has to be movement. Yeah. So if you find you have stagnated, so you know it is an indication for you to check and find out what is happening. But life is about motion. Career is about motion. There has to be progress. Yeah. So career is an occupation that is done over a significant period of time. Yeah. And it is accumulation of people's opportunities as well as progress. Yeah. So you can have a job and you can have a career. So a career is accumulation of all those experiences, yeah, to make up a cumulative full experience of who you are. So I'll show you my career journey. So I started out in corporate. I was in corporate for 21 years. And then after which I moved into entrepreneurship. So now I have the experience of both worlds. So I'll share what my learnings have been so far. Yeah. So as I've said there, where you start doesn't matter, but where you finish is what is most important. So for the people who feel you're disadvantaged, maybe you didn't come from a good background, maybe your education hasn't been all that, provided you have been able to get your first job, that's your first leg up. Yeah. So the thing is, don't look at where you're coming from in terms of, oh, I've not had such good privileges, or where you're comparing yourself with others. The thing is, it doesn't matter where you start, we're moving forward. So what's been my career journey? I started out in the NGO sector, and I did 6 years there. And actually, interesting enough, it started out from my first day in campus. So in my days when we were in campus, we had a lot of free time. You could actually manage to clear out 2 full days of your week. And I don't know if campus is like that right now. but you could clear out 2 days of the week to do your own thing. So in those free days, I actually used to work. So I worked throughout campus. And by the time I was finishing 4th year, I was actually managing a department. So by the time I finished my 4th year, when we were graduating, I already had a job and I just moved into a role. And I stayed on for another 2 further years. And then that's when I switched and decided, you know what, I've been in the NGO world for 6 years. I kind of felt I'd understood that sector. And I moved into the telco industry. And this is when Kensel was starting out. And actually, I was employee number 56. And we built that organization from scratch. And I remember by the time I was leaving, we were almost 1,500 employees. So I stayed on there for the 3.5 years and moved to retail, for another 2 years. Then I did 10.5 years in media. I don't look like that. I don't look that old, but yeah. I did 10 years there. And then I moved into entrepreneurship with TalentGurus, which has been for the last 4 years. So in total, I've done 25 years in people leadership, talent development, people management, mentorship, coaching, and organizational management and development. So for me, one key learning I learned from all these organizations I've worked with, you only take strategic career moves. I've seen the younger generation, even when I was recruiting in this organization since I was in HR, I realized a lot of people just make moves for the sake of moving. So when you make your career move, make it a career strategic move. You're either moving for experience in a new industry so that you can acquire new skills, either you're moving to learn new skills, or you're going to experience a new experience like a startup or a change environment. So like, for example, I moved from NGO to the telco because I felt the NGO was not giving me a realistic view of life. So I felt I need to move into the corporate sector, which is competitive, that shows you how to make money and how money is brought in, into an organization. I moved from telco to retail because telco actually was a good employer. It was a very good job, but I moved to retail so that I can experience HR in change. So all the changes I've made, for me, there's had to be a reason. And it is a reason that is going to build onto my career. So don't change your job just for the sake. And don't change your job because the other job is offering an extra 10,000, 20,000 onto your salary. If you're going to make the change, let it be a strategic move. And if it is a change for money, let it be a substantial change for money. But don't change for 10,000, 15,000. That is not a very strategic move, because you see, the thing is, once you move, you have to stay on that role now, because as Doris has said, we recruiters shy off from people who are changing jobs every year. So you move into a new role, you have to stay in that new role and show us what you have done and contributed in that role before you move. So that's the other thing. Before you move from one organization to the other, or one role to the other, make sure you have made substantial contribution in that role. So guys, and that's what I keep telling guys, I could have had 25 years of experience, seated maybe in a bank, being a teller for those 25 years. That's still 25 years experience. But if I tell you now, I have 25 years experience and I've worked in all those sectors and I've experienced change, I've experienced organizations in growth, I've experienced organizations with that needed turnarounds, who do you think you will be hired? The one who has more an enriched work experience than the one who has stagnated. So for every role you're holding, always ask yourself, what value am I adding here? What changes have I introduced in this organization? So for me, from the get-go, I always knew whatever position I'm holding, I have to contribute. I have to contribute. So I know there are many employees. I've also coached many people who believe sometimes they can get away with just being in an organization and just doing the minimum. So you might be thinking you're the one playing the organization, but it's actually working against you, because at the end of the day, your career is your responsibility. So you have to make moves that are strategic. Yeah, so you can see mine have been either for career, for a challenging work environment, for monumental career projects. Like the reason why I stayed at NMG that's Nation Media Group, for 7.5 years was because I was leading an organizational change program for 5 years. So that was a monumental project for that organization, and it was a monumental project for myself. Yeah. So projects that you begin, make sure you see them to its completion, because that's a feather on your cap in terms of your career. Yeah. So always ensure that you, when you make a move, make sure it is with a reason and it is for your career growth. Always make, as they say, according to the young people, always make boss moves. So they say having a job is like running a 100 meters sprint. But for me, a career is running a marathon. So you're not going to say you have a career in 2 years or 5 years. A career is for the long haul. It's for the long haul. So the other things I have also picked along the way and things that have worked for me is you always start with the end in mind. So for me, one thing, and it's actually one of the learnings I'm sharing this series right now we're doing on LinkedIn, is that you have to have a clear mind picture of what you want. And the mind picture could be, I want to be like somebody. Like for me, how I started my journey, I got a mentor, and I didn't even know the mentor. It was somebody who recruited me into cancer, and he was a top-notch PwC consultant, and I told him, you know what? I want to be just like you. So ensure you have your end in mind, so that you're very clear about what you're working towards. Yeah, so always start with the end in mind and work backwards. The second key thing is you have to understand who you are in terms of your talents, your passions, and your purpose. And I've seen Doris has taken you through at least some portion of it, because that's where everything starts. That's where everything starts and stops. If you know what your strengths are, we hone onto our strengths. We work with our strengths. And actually, that's the capability that God naturally gave us, as our leverage into this world. So work with your strengths, build onto them. The other thing, nail the basics of business etiquette. And this is one thing I'm a stickler for. And I truly believe if you crack this, you will crack everything about your career. Simple things like punctuality, preparedness, reliability. If you say you're going to do something, do it. You have to crack it when you're at your lowest level. If you can't crack it at the lowest level, it's the thing that will bring you down when you're at the top. So you have to get the basics right. That's the foundation. Yeah. So even in your personal time, remember, people are watching. So if you're sloppy in your personal time and people are recommending you in a corporate setting, do you think, and somebody is seated in that meeting, they'll be like, no, actually, I don't think so. That's not the right person, because you're not in congruence. Your life is not the same personally and professionally. So make sure that you're carrying one image in both lives, because people are constantly watching you. The other thing is master your craft. I always say, be the best that you can be. Master your craft. So in HR, I can tell you, and they say for you to master anything, you need 10,000 hours, which is an average of 10 years. So for you who's starting out, whatever trade or whatever line you want to take, ensure that you will put in your time. Ensure, and that putting in of time means you take the right courses that will build onto your craft. You get the right exposures and experiences that will build onto your craft. Meet the right people, be known in your profession, build a brand within your profession, but you have to master your craft. So 25 years for me, I can say I've done maybe almost thrice the 10,000 hours, but the thing is, learning never stops. So even if you've done 25 years, I can tell you I still do my training. I do my yearly training. And it takes me to my next point, continuous personal development. Never, ever get comfortable that you have reached. Even if you've gotten a degree, even if you've gotten a master's, there's always new learning. So you have to always invest in yourself. So for me, my rule since I started my career, I've always taken one personal development training, which I pay for myself from my salary. The days I used to have a salary, I pay for myself. Even now, in entrepreneurship, I treat myself to a training every year because it means I am growing. It means I'm gaining new ideas. They say you're stuck to the level of the investment that you've put into yourself. So if you're not investing in yourself, no, that is the point you will get. You will get stuck. Yeah, and you see, for me, I believe you can only give from what you have. So you can't give from an empty cup. So you have to continuously develop yourself. That's how you move above the pack. Then the other thing is personal branding. So even from the lowest level of your career, start branding yourself. Start using your LinkedIn. Many of us use LinkedIn like a photo album. It's not a photo album. LinkedIn, you need to share your story, your daily journey, your career journey, so that when you get into an interview and you say, I'm passionate about this, I should be able to go into your LinkedIn and see that passion. Yeah. Right now, it's so easy to fake CVs. It's so easy to fake documents. So we want to see the practical evidence that you can actually do what you're saying. The only way to do that is by having a digital footprint. So use your LinkedIn, use your social media, yeah. Ensure that you're documenting your journey, because that is actually proof of your passion and of your journey. And get an accountability partner. So for me, I had a mentor for over 20 years, who now became a personal friend. He now sits on my advisory board. I also had a close friend. We've walked this journey of life together. Get a friend who you can hold each other accountable. And then the other thing, also get a coach. Yeah. The other thing about being intentional is always add value. Yeah. For me, how I took my career is whichever position I held, I will not change a job until I have added value in that role. I will not change organizations until I have left impact in that organization. Do not change jobs for the sake of changing. Leave a mark. Leave a mark. Use your performance management system. The reason why HR has designed those tools is for your benefit. So for me, how I used it, every year I would ensure that I have those projects. And how do you get the projects? Those are actually you're giving solutions to problems that the organization is facing. So look for solutions to solve organizational problems. When you're solving those problems, those are key projects that will be key markers for your career path. Use your performance management system, and you will find that as you're doing that, as you're moving in your career, that is how you will grow, and that's how even it will be easier for you to get the promotions. Network, that one you've heard about. Relationships are key. So even within the organization, as you interact with your colleagues, ensure you treat people cordially, ensure you maintain good relationships with everybody, because I can tell you, once you're done with your career, these are the same people you will require. So like for me, you'll find what I'm currently doing, I actually use a lot of my networks from my former jobs and former workmates. So you will find you're actually building your social capital through your current workplace. Be consistent and ensure that your integrity is untouched. Your integrity is all you have. So ensure that you keep your integrity intact. Do not get involved in get rich quick schemes, yeah, and ensure that your name is untainted. The other key thing is put your skin in the game. Ensure that you're constantly doing your best in your job. Take your work seriously. There's no wasted experience. I even had some bad bosses along the way, persevere through that period. Life is about seasons, yeah? And also remember not to fall in love with your employer. I'm sure COVID has shown you that in terms of when tough decisions have to be made, the organization will make its decision when it needs to make it. The other thing is be present. And being present is about understanding what are the challenges that are being faced within the organization. Oh, sorry, you can't see my face, sorry. Yeah, so be present. And being present is just understanding what are the challenges. What are the challenges that the organization is facing, and being the solution provider. I truly believe that employees know how to solve the problems within organizations. So you're the best person to actually solve those problems. And remember, it still gets connected to how you build your career. So solve those problems. Don't ignore the problems, because that's how you will build your career. The other thing is being a lifelong learner. And how you do that is through books, through travel, new experiences, short courses, continuous learning. Build others as you grow. So they say, especially as a leader, you're as good as your weakest link. So for me, I always say, I will not have done my team justice if I have grown alone. So carry everybody along with you. The other thing, when you get also into leadership, understand also the office politics, but don't play it. Yeah, understanding is to just understand how to maneuver it, but do not get into it, yeah, because it will always catch up with you. And then the other key thing is just journal your journey, practice gratitude, and always seek God's guidance. Yeah. Sorry, 1 minute. So for me, as I was telling you, what were my key career defining projects? So for me, my move from Kensal to Uchumi to do the first organizational turnaround, I can tell you that was most stressful. It was early in my when I was about 27 years old. It was one of my biggest first challenging career moves, but I can tell you that is what gave me the courage to be able to make those moves, those career changes. Then I did the organizational startup. So it also gave me courage to be able to even start up an organization. Culture change, I talked about that. Talent development programs. I developed programs that have developed award-winning journalists across the East African region. So that's Media Lab, Scribes Inc., leadership development programs, as well as robust internship programs. The other thing is organizational turnarounds. Yeah, I did an organizational turnaround where you lobby and ensure that the employees buy into your new vision. That was at Standard Media Group. Then the other thing was also now developing Ignite as well as the Ascent programs and the TalentGurus, which is a solution, yeah, to help young people find their passions and their talents at an early age, so that when they get out of school, they know which careers to pursue because they selected the right courses and they have actually gotten experience in the right industries through internships, yeah, so that they are well focused and are actually targeted and actually are looking for experiences in the right careers. So what have been the results out of all those things I have done? For me, I can say when I was in corporate, and two companies I worked in ended up getting awards, company awards. So we got the best company to work for at Nation. That was due to the culture change program. The best workplace to work in, also due to the culture change program that we did at Nation. Best HR Practice Excellence Award, which is run by Deloitte. We also won it at Standard Media Group when I went there and we did the turnaround. For myself, we've gotten 2 global HR leadership recognition awards, one in 2017 and one this year. And for me, what is the other key result for me is replication. For me, the true sign for me of success of any leader is that you have been able to replicate yourself. And so for me, it's about the mentorship and the coaching. And then the other thing is also the smooth transition now from my first half. And my first half was about my career and achieving success in my first half. And now my second half of my career, which is the next 20 years, will be about significance, which is about implementing my purpose and ensuring that I leave a mark. Because for me, it's all about legacy and it's about impacting other people's lives. So even with all these experiences, and even with your career, always ask yourself, why am I doing this? Where will it take me? Yeah. And for me, when I got to about 35, I kept asking myself, I don't think I was put on earth to just work. I think there's a greater purpose. So around 40 years, before 40 years, but at 40 is when I got my clarity in terms of what my purpose is. That's how I switched to entrepreneurship. So just quickly, these are pictures of what we're doing. So for us, as I told you, we are taking the industry back into the classrooms. So we take industry experts, so similar to what right now Career Hub is doing. We take industry experts, but now we take them to classrooms and we inspire young people and demystify careers for these young people. We have graduated many young people through our course. So this is Mpesa Foundation, the Safaricom Mpesa Foundation. You can see the kids there. That was graduation day. The good thing is that now they've incorporated the program. The other key thing, what you're learning right now, they're learning now at a younger age. Yeah, so now they're learning how to use social media to leverage onto their personal brands, how to use social media responsibly, how to take care of their digital footprint properly. Yeah, because these are the things that define who you are, and the things that will define your career going forward. This is my team. We've been able to develop an in-house faculty. We've trained 30 coaches so far. So for me, it's about replication. Now I don't train myself. I have gotten people who buy into the vision of TalentGurus. And the last 4 years, we've been able to directly coach over 1,000 lives. And we've influenced over 20,000. That's when we are trying to be conservative, but we do a lot of coaching even through radio, through TV, so those numbers can actually be even higher. So for us and for me, it's all about legacy. So for me, it's what you leave behind. It's not what is engraved in stone monuments. So it's not about the land that you buy, the houses that you build. No, it's about what is woven in other people's lives. What change will you have made by the time you're done? So that is where I stop my presentation. Any questions? Thank you.
Amazing, Pauline. Amazing. The chat box is on fire as well as the comment section on Facebook. I just want to say, I liked what you said about making moves that are strategic. Especially during this period, we need to make moves that are strategic. And this is also what we usually teach at the Centonomy Career Hub program, which we'll be able to share with you more details at the end. I also liked the tips on start with the end in mind, self-discovery, nail the basics of business etiquette, continuous personal development, personal branding. Amazing. Mercy is actually asking on tips on journaling. Yeah, she's asking for tips on journaling. Maybe you can share something on that as well as I get a couple of questions here for you.
So tips on journaling. So for me, how I started it out was when I was when I just finished Form 4. It was that Dear Diary, where you start the rudimentary way of just documenting your journey, in terms of how you felt in the day. But it moved on, graduated. So you can start from a simple way of just recording your day and how you're feeling and what you feel in terms of your life where you are. But it will move. It actually graduated to me writing about my plans, my wishes, the things that I want to and aspire to achieve in my life. So actually for me, I discovered journaling is actually what directed my goals in my life. So it actually directed me to achieving the goal. So one day after journaling for 10 years, I went back and realized everything that I had written, I had achieved. So it's a useful tool in terms of goal setting. And the other thing is that it helps you refine your goals. So as you're writing, you're actually doing idea process and processing and clarification. Yeah, so it actually refines your ideas, and it actually ensures, and you consciously and subconsciously end up getting ways of implementing what you're writing. So you'll find consciously and unconsciously you've actually already achieved what you have already written. So it's a goal setting tool for me. And how I also document all the good things that are happening in my life. Yeah. And then also I also write the things that are not working so that I can also get solutions to them. Yeah. So it's two ways. So you can either write your daily dear diary, but for me, it moved to goal setting. Then it moved to gratitude, because I also do, I have a gratitude jar. So that's another way of journaling. So you can also have a gratitude journal. Yeah. So there are various ways, but it's about you channeling. It's about you channeling your life and processing what is coming through your life. So you're actually being intentional about your life. I hope I have answered the question.
Fantastic, fantastic. Someone also is asking, can you speak on how to find your footing after resigning from a toxic environment where your self-esteem has taken a beating?
Yes, so I intimated I actually had a bad boss, a really, really bad boss for 3 years. Yeah. And in that process, for me, the lesson that I learned. So one thing I'll tell the person who was asked that question is, don't leave a job because of another person. Yeah, because you're all hired in that organization. So nobody, not unless the person owns the, the organization. So if they own it, then that's different. But if you're both hired, don't leave a job because somebody else is harassing you. So the thing is, as I said, you only move a job from a job because it is a strategic move. So for me, what I decided, even irrespective of me having a bad boss, is I said, you know what, I have to achieve the goal of why I'm here. And so I stuck on, and I learned, for me, the lesson I learned from that toxic environment is how not to be a bad HR person. And actually, for me, it actually translated and it flipped. And actually, that's what made me a good HR person, because I had practical lessons of how not to be a bad boss. Yeah. So for that person who's going through a toxic environment, get out of it, take a bird's eye view into that situation, learn from it, get the lessons that you will learn how not to be like that person, whatever they're doing. And in your next job, ensure that you've achieved the goal that you're trying to achieve there. And in your next job, ensure that environment only builds you. So don't take things personally, because I can tell you that boss gave me hell. But later on, even I didn't burn bridges, but later on that boss came back and apologized, because she knew she took the whole department through hell. We all went through a rough time, but it was 3 years of learning how not to be. So whatever situation you are in, always flip it. Flip it and take the learning. Always look for the opportunity.
I like that. I like that. Flip it and take the learning, look for the opportunity. Amazing. So we also have a question from Valentine and Ariko, because the question is actually connected. So how do you identify a career coach or a mentor? I know there's a difference between a coach and a mentor. So maybe you can just start with that. And then how do you identify one?
Okay. So actually there's role model, there's mentor and coach. So role model is somebody you admire and somebody you'd want to be like. So for me, my role model was always Nelson Mandela. I loved his leadership style. And so for me, what I did is I read everything around Nelson Mandela. I learned how he became a good leader. I imbibed everything that he said. Yeah, I learned how to be a good leader from Nelson, and I aspired to become one like him. So that's a role model. A mentor is somebody you still admire, but you have access to. You see, role model is somebody who is far, but I do not have access. The only way I have access to him is through materials online and through books, so that you can do that. Or even LinkedIn. Sometimes you might not even have access to the people in LinkedIn. So So you can even just follow them and understand their journeys and how they are doing life. That's a role model. So you can also pick a role model online. Now, a mentor is somebody you have access to. So like for me, my mentor was the person who recruited me into Kensel. I didn't know him. I just admired his professionalism. For me, my aspiration was always to end up as a HR consultant. So for me, I approached him and asked him, please, can you mentor me? I want to be exactly like you. So a mentor is somebody you admire. You have to admire and you have to want to be like them. Yeah. So it's not prescribed. That one is now you taking the initiative to approach the person. And most people, if you actually ask them for mentorship, they will actually agree, because most people actually want to help others. And then a coach. Now, a coach is a trained person. These are people who've gone through training, and ensure that you actually get trained ones, because I've seen a lot of people online referring to themselves as coaches, but ensure that they're trained ones. And a coach is actually trained to help you discover your inner potential, to unlock you. Yeah, because we truly believe as coaches that everybody has solutions to their problems. We all have solutions to our problems. So the role of a coach is to unlock you, to help you unlock yourself. And how do we do that? We do it using the right questions, creating the right environment, creating the right ambience for you to actually believe in yourself that you can solve your problems for sustainability. Because you see, with a coach, it creates dependency. With a mentor, it creates dependency, because you have to keep going back for solutions. With a coach, they will teach you the tools so that you can always, be self-reliant. So you will always get solutions to your problems. So how do you select? Just go online, make sure that they are certified, that they have a track record, and they're many online.
Great.
And also check that they are ICF certified. Yeah, that is a global certifying body for coaches. Ensure that they are certified.
Fantastic. I like what Phyllis is saying. I agree. Do not leave because of another person. Do your job to your best of your ability, and they will slowly start seeing they have no power over you. And never answer back in anger. Stick to professional guided answers. Thank you so much, Pauline, for the nuggets.